Yes, and it is so springtime outside, even though, you know, the wind is in the northwest in the Netherlands and the weather isn't all that brilliant at the moment. We just have like 11 degrees and that type, centigrades I'm talking. So it's not hot and the leaves are on the trees and my wisteria is flowering, which is excellent. I just love that. Maybe I'll show it to you later. But I still got a snowman on my mug because it's the biggest mug I got. So back to Shakti, you guys. What I did, what I started to do, because I felt like it. I felt like I need change. I need something to happen here. I think I rediscovered in December of 2018 that if I was, you know, sitting and meditating and observing the area close to my spine. So if I just imagine that this is my spine, for example, this is a straight line, so it doesn't really look like that, but this is my front, okay, this is my back side, then along my spine at the front side of it, okay, I had like whole groups of areas that felt like, I don't know, think a walnut in its husk, in its that's not the right word, in the, you know, a hard walnut, like the fall of the tree, like that, okay, those types of shapes, or like egg shapes, okay. I can't think of my words, that were along my spine going up all the way, more or less, and they felt cold. That's how I described it before in other videos and in other bits of updates that I did on this type of work. And looking back on it now, I would say they also looked not just cold, but old also. There were just areas along my spinal column, along the vertebra like that, where, and I'm not saying that each vertebrae has one area to it. You could easily say there were 3 or 5 little bits of problematic lack of flow in the whole energy thing. It's like the cells in there weren't part of my body even, which sounds completely unrealistic. But I started in early January to take up my Shakti energy into those areas. And the beginning, it wasn't easy. It was the first session was really, I think I did 2 longish sessions in one day and then another session the next day or something to cover my whole spine area, okay, all that thing, the whole length of it. And because what I needed to do was to, and this is my image number 4 for this whole thing, okay, there's the spine like that, and this is a bit what it looks like for the Shakti to go into a, let's call it a fossilized area for now, okay, because that's what it felt like. It felt like all the old resistance, old patterns, old emotions were stuck in there, and I just I didn't like the way it wasn't like it hurt so much. It was just I didn't like the idea of there not of that being in there. It's like having it's like decluttering in your house. You have a whole room full of crap and junk and old everybody else's old, you know, stories, and you have to go through it. At some point, a lot of people are doing that right now, and I did that too last year before I got into all this, and before I got into YouTube even. Yowzer. I did that in this room that I had that I still have upstairs, and it's way bigger. It's like 3 times the size now because of all the stuff that I threw out. That's kind of what it's like. Only in order to get the change, you just have to. And we had a quite a bit of conversation with Jennifer Pearson at her channel, back and forth about this type of work, and it's also for her. Hi, Jennifer. because I know you're there, that I'm sort of recapitulating all this, because we wanted to we wanted to describe what happens when this energy changes, and there's this old area. It is like, it's really physical. If you say, for example, let's go really practical about this, okay? I have a piece of frozen meat that I'm taking out of my freezer, okay? And I want to make a stew out of that. Only I want to make the stew tonight. Then one thing I can do is stick the meat in a bowl or in a cup of some sort and put that in a larger bowl of hot water. That's one thing I can do. Or even just put it straight. You don't want to put it in the water because that'll go all icky, but not straight away. But you're trying to get the temperature. So putting hot water around that frozen bit, eventually it'll thaw. So that's what this process really looks like a lot. It's like when you're coming in out of the cold and there's a heater and you're going to stand on top of the heater or sit next to the heater like that, and you just have to allow for the heat to come in. And sometimes that takes a while. It's exactly like that, except it isn't completely about temperature. It is also a lot about emotion. And so that's what this is about. This round thing that you see there, it's not a brain or a skull or anything. It's just the arrow of the Shakti going into this convoluted complication of an area and finding its way in there. And I haven't seen any of those little details so much as that I'm trying to show by these lines like that it's a process. And at some point, the cell or the egg or the walnut is thawed and it's gone over to the other side. It has come into its new expression, that now that it has access to this energy. And I think a lot of this that I used to carry around with me was the result of abandonment, isolation, more abandonment, no family, all sorts of things. Parents divorcing, moving house 1 trillion times and all the rest of it. No friends, hardly any friends. My mother never had any friends. My mother's problems with her father, whom I got along with just fine. Personal stuff like that. Lack of trust embedded in my body, in my spine. And the Shakti is the tool to change all of that. So that's what I'm doing here, and that's what I'm sharing. That's basically why I think this is just such a great idea. So, I did the whole Shakti travail, like I said, in a day and a half or so. Not a whole day and a half, like one session of half an hour, and then another session of 3/4 of an hour, and the next day another session of 3/4 of an hour. Something like that. Then I let the whole thing be for a week, and then I came back to it to see whether anything had really changed, whether it was easier the second time. And it was. It was a lot easier the second time. But now, 4 months on in time, I can see that I thought then that I had gone to the bottom of things, completely to the bottom, and I wasn't. There are parts that you aren't aware of. There are parts that still will at some time get the attention that they need. So that a lot of that is just a matter of keeping at it. And I was thinking, okay, so say I did this twice a week for the past 4 months, then that's a lot of meditating. I think so, yeah. So another element that is important, I'm coming back here to the bit about the refuges. It's a bit of a sideline here at the back of the heart area. That's how I drew this. So there's the spine again, there's the heart out in here, okay? And in between those is like this little star of light, this little, it's not ever mentioned in chakra books or in whatever type of info or charts or maps or images that you get about the chakras at all. So that's why I'm also giving this a separate position. This is the best or potentially the easiest access to the inner silence thing that is so helpful to train us into perceiving energy happenings in general, because there's a whole process there of learning to distinguish and learning to name, okay, this is what on that side and that's what's slightly more, there's another influence right there, or there's a different whatever, something is different. So the silence is like a neutral place, it's much more than neutral, but it is a place that isn't involved. So let's put it that way. So that ties very much back in with the silence, the three refuges type meditation. So I'm going to do this slightly not in order, because my next card will be number 7 and number 6 will be down to the last bit. This is a very confusing one. This is another part really of number 2 here. So after I have done all this, including the Shakti work, okay, but also before, while I was still very much working with this and trying to get white light to come into the earth and all that, I found that there were all sorts of energy charges, whatever you can call that, the charge of past actions and things like that. And it ties in a lot with this one, number 8. And this one has specifically to do with past lives. So this is a dimension of our past lives, number 7 here, that is to be found in the actual energy field, in the actual earth, beneath our actual feet. And it is like, it's just something I want to kind of warn people about. If you go and do this type of thing, you may encounter, there will be, yeah, I think so. There will be moments where you go like, hey, this is a type of energy that I really don't like, or that I really don't see it's productive anymore. And if that happens, then you know what I'm talking about. You will know that you can use white light to invite those elements to go up into the light, like a ghost whisperer move, I always call that. And especially visiting old religious places can call this up. If you went in some old graveyard or an old church, in whichever part of the world that you live in, because this happens everywhere, okay? And you come away from there, at the end of the day you have a splitting headache, this is something to investigate. I have been flummoxed and stunned at the level of energetic intrusion, is what I'd like to call that, in my own life, because there were parts inside the earth, and I'm hoping to point that out. There's my little person right there at the top. You can't even see that. There's the person's gone because it's all light happening, okay? So we are in here somewhere, invisible and tiny, and underneath our feet there's this whole cathedral of ghosts and black, dark, gothic stuff. And you don't have to really, it's not like, the only thing I really want to say is be aware of what is yours and what isn't. And don't be afraid, because you have a lot of power on your side, and all they want, no matter what they look like, okay? They in there. Whatever it is that you get to see, whatever it is, all they really want is to get to the light and be absorbed in it. So this is maybe an even more important theme than I was already thinking, but I've done this quite a number of times where I visited this beautiful place and church or whatever, and I was just so sick for 3 days, and the only thing I could do was go into this whole healing mode where it wasn't about me anymore, because of course I don't know how this works, you guys. I'm just presenting my facts as I have encountered them and evaluated them, and I find that if I just add in huge lumps of white light to this situation, everything goes better. And the entities or influences or whatever it is that they really are, they go into the light, sometimes unwillingly, and you just have to talk them into it a bit. It's all this is inside. All this happens in silence, and if you can, and most of the time it's kids and women and old grandpas who are like, "Oh, please, can you help me? Because I have been on this plane for so long, and I have lost the connection with upstairs." That type of thing. So if you can be that connection, that just feels really good. That's all there really is to it. And I have also encountered there have been weird moments where only a few, really, maybe 2 or 3 times, that I've really encountered something that I couldn't place, or I couldn't really make much sense of it. And it was a bit more work, concentration wise, also on my end to, actually dark spirits of some sort. But you never listen to them, okay? You just look at me. You don't listen to them. Only to the extent that you may sometimes need to know more or less what it is that they're going, how you can help them. But the white light is the only thing that is really going to make any difference. And basically what I have found out is that they need to be resolved they need to be absolved of the responsibility of their lives. Whatever it was that they were, whether they were human or otherwise. Most of the time they're basically sort of human most of the time. So then it is because they're linked up, connected, fastened, bound into some type of magical, mystical network of connection and obligation, and imprisoned in that type of thing. And that's what you can help. You can make that, you can change that. You're bringing with the white light, you're bringing with your connection to the white light, I should say, okay? You're bringing hope to these, and you're making change. That's what I'm all about. So the thing about the past lives, that's the last number 8 card here, not completely the last card, but in order of my tale. I found that in the under half of my spine, so like up until my second chakra, basically just the first bit of my spine right there, that's actually where there's a lot of information about. Maybe it's in my bones. I thought it can as well be that all my bones have a knowledge of where I have been. I wouldn't be surprised. It feels kind of right and cool. So yeah, so I thought maybe that's something I need to say as well. That's why there's this big spine and a scully right there and a heart, because connecting with past lives is also part normal and natural part of this whole process. That's what I think. And most of that is actually a question of emotion and connection. And I haven't encountered any new trauma. I have only encountered good things and connection and, okay, a lot of limitations and a lot of searching. But it was like the earth, it's very much like this one with the earth healing business and the, trying to extricate if something's bothering you. It just depends whether it is bothering us. We don't have to go hunting for weird spirits Unless that's what we want, maybe you want to do that. I never wanted to do any of this. I just wanted to be okay. That was my plan. I just wanted to not have any headaches. That was my plan. And the good news is, in the past 2 months, for the first time in my life, since I can remember at least, or maybe since I was a kid, I haven't had any headaches. I basically, now I've been talking for more than an hour, I can feel a slight, it's a bit tired in there. It's a bit tired, and I haven't been outside enough and all that. So yeah, but it's not, it's like this. That's not a headache. I have had headaches, you guys. Oh yeah. And they are gone. Gone. Incredible. So the last installment, I'm going to talk about that now, because I think it's 28 or 20. Okay, 20. So I can make it, okay? We can make this. This is just one more card, just this thing. And it's probably what I'm going to title the whole this whole episode here, this whole Shakti update episode. There's the spine again with the nodules, okay? Where was it? Wednesday evening. Today is Friday and it's 4 o'clock more or less in the Netherlands. Wednesday evening at, I was in bed, I don't know, 10, 11-ish, that type of time. I was going through this again and I found another cold spot, and it was, there's this heart star area, okay, this little bright bit against the spine behind the heart area again. And that's why I brought this up separately, because this problematic point that I found was like another little, very tough little fossil of an old, and I'm thinking it's got everything to do with my soul retrieval business and all that. It was right up here, right on top of that star area. So this is very bright and shiny and silent and quiet and happy and peaceful and full of joy. And right after that you get this, everything's turned to stone. Everything's like, yay, tight and vissé. How do you call that in English? Screwed up into a tiny little ball, So in I goes with my Shakti energy, and it took some doing. That was a tough one right there. I think it took me all of, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, just putting it back in there. Just so we're going in this mode again, okay? This mode with this little cell, just trying to get the, and it took some doing. Oh my goodness! And then the part that is there sort of expanded and accepted the Shakti energy, accepted the warmth, and I felt, and this is us looking at the side of the person, okay? So you're going at me like this, okay? There's the spine, and there's this little area where the problem was. Do I have a star in as well? Yes, I've got the star in as well. Right on top of that, there's a problem area, and once it opened up, there was this huge funnel going out to the front of me, and it comes out more or less there. So I could tattoo a little star up there. Is that it? Maybe here. So it's millimeter work that I'm talking about. That's a Dutch expression. Working with millimeters. So you call it millimeter work, okay? You're learning Dutch as I talk here. So all this is heart area, okay? I can have heart in here and in here and on the sides and at the top here. And there's a whole higher heart area up here. But this tiny little bit has made all the difference, because what I found out, at first, of course, I went all the way into resistance. I could feel what I could feel was going from that area that had opened up. It was like a funnel going forward, like so, and up a bit. And it was way warmer, and I could feel like I was really there, and it was just like all these loads of systems and things that had to do with the way I think about things and the way I feel, all that just started, it's like everything started running and everything started moving and participating for the first time. Because in the back there, the process had changed. And then from there outward, a whole new expression of me as I sit here becomes possible. Only then does it become possible. So I'm really stunned at the change, because yesterday I went to the restaurant that I work at as a volunteer, and all day I was confused and I didn't know what to make of things, and I was wearing my rose quartz and all that, and it didn't make the slightest difference. And I had like a difficulty connecting with people and with my surroundings, and I did the work and it was fine. We didn't argue. They didn't throw me out, thank goodness. I didn't walk away either. But I was, I don't know, I don't get this. I feel weird. And I was feeling good inside, and I was feeling weird outside. Maybe that's familiar to you. I don't know, tell me about it, please. Let me know. Because what happened then afterwards, I was, coming home and blah with husband, and we had to resolve a couple of little issues and things. And then everything simmered down, and watched telly and went to bed and blah. And then I sort of went, all of a sudden I went, I can see the difference. Now I know what the difference is. The difference is that up to when it was still a fossilized stone in there, I was isolated. I believed, or I was, as a person, I was the one of the basic defining qualities of that situation that I was in up until 2 days ago was isolation. And that defines you down to the bones. Apparently, that's what happens. So I had to change my mind from isolation and all that, and loneliness and coping and blah with that, and being that, which I've been for, 53 years? Yay, grey hair. Yeah, I don't care. Okay. I had to change my mind to, I'm really here. This is my place. This is my life. I am here. I have you guys. I have all these options, all these possibilities, all this, even past lives. I've got so much stuff going on, and I'm integrating it all. And it is me at the middle. I am at the middle of all this huge weirdness, and all the crazy meditation stuff, and all the crazy energy stuff, and all the crazy cultural stuff and historical, and all of it. It's me in the middle. And so that is really the most recent development from basically Shakti work. So changing my mind came afterwards. At some point, I had to figure that out for myself. That was really, I had to identify what the difference was between before and after, and I also had to identify that my identification again was changing, and that tends to happen with Shakti work. So I am also doing these videos basically on and off, very unpredictable, I think, the way I'm doing them, because I think there's lots of people who are really interested in working with Kundalini energy, who can feel it's there, who can feel more or less what it can do for them, who are attracted to this type of talk and this type of subject matter. And but there's also lots of warnings out there, and it's so much of all this, used to be esoteric, occult, or hidden, because for whatever reason humanity wasn't ready, is a positive viewpoint about these things. A less positive viewpoint would be that if you publicize all this type of stuff, people can do this for themselves, they don't need the priest anymore. So I'll let you think about that one. I hope you enjoy me ramble. Otherwise, I think so, because otherwise you wouldn't be here. I will see whenever it is time to upload this, all this stuff. I've been at it for more than an hour now. So time for more tea. I wish you the best possible weekend, and make it happen, you guys. See you soon. See you next week. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Okay? See you soon. Bye-bye.